Welcome to Fuel. Fuel stands for Finance, Unity, Empowerment, Legacy. Join us today as Dr. Jackie, Dennis, and Matt share from the theme I Have the Money, What Now? Part 1.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, it's
Well,
been a
And the
top of
world,
the
while.
morning to you.
we got the world traveler over here.
Yes, fresh from my excursions in Rwanda. A lot of
Wow.
exciting things going on over there.
I saw the pictures, man. They were wonderful. My goodness. You
Yeah,
know?
just to catch up our audience on my little extracurricular activities. Um, we are in the process, actually, well into the process of building a school, building a clinic, building a recreational facility, and some hostels. Basically, we're building a city in a rural community called the Bugesera district in Rwanda, right outside of the capital city of Kigali. So I was out there to uh, catch up on that project and also got a chance to meet some interesting guys that are helping out the community as far as agriculture. So it was a great time. Missed you guys over the last couple of weeks, but I'm back fresh, ready to do this.
That is
Excited.
Excellent.
Dr. Jackie looking absolutely fabulous.
thank you, thank you.
Fabulous. All right.
All
Well,
that is fine.
Yeah,
definitely welcome back. Welcome back. My
yes,
goodness. It's
yes,
good to know
sir.
that good to know that you have philanthropy in your heart because you have a nonprofit, right?
Yeah, so I know we don't usually go off on things that we do outside of fuel, but yeah, I run a nonprofit called Thirst No More Corporation. It has functions that works both nationally and internationally just to address the basic needs of underdeveloped, underprivileged communities around the globe. So, been doing that officially since 2009. And so, in doing so, I do travel quite a bit overseeing projects that have taken place in the aforementioned Rwanda, also in Nepal, also in the Congo, also in Guatemala, also in Malawi, also in Haiti, and even right here where I live part of the year in Baltimore, Maryland.
And he also he didn't forget, his list is very long. He helped Dr. Jackie and I connected him to a church in I guess it's called Bryan's Road, Maryland.
Yes.
And um, well, actually, it's a weird story. I'm my other vocation is a licensed life insurance agent, and I was out at church. Dr. Jackie and I were out at the church doing a presentation. And then we started just talking to the administrator there. She told us about the program they had. And it just, I felt bad because I didn't think that things like that happened in the United States, right in our own backyard.
Mhm.
And I was trying to figure out a way that I could help. I felt powerless. And then I remembered that Mac had a philanthropic arm, and I contacted him and we talked, and I connected him with the church, and they've been doing great things right in our background. He did mention Baltimore, but this is also in my backyard, Bryan's Road, Maryland. So yeah, thank you very much for the extension of yourself and your company.
Yeah, it turned out to be a great relationship builder. Just for purposes, I don't know whether we can mention, but I won't mention her name, the main contact. But um, we become more than just professional connections. We're friends now. We talk all the time. So that was a great relationship, and it's still ongoing. So I'm still considering some other things. The pandemic has kind of slowed down things that they're doing out in that community right now because they kind of just shut it down for a season. So I'm really kind of waiting on them to get things up and running again. And we definitely are going to come up with a plan to continue to address that area. And, honestly, Dennis and Dr. Jackie, this really is a good lead into why we do fuel. And I know that fuel is unrelated per se to what we're talking about right now, but in a way, it really isn't because the whole purpose for us doing fuel, by the way, standing for finance, unity, empowerment, legacy, it's all about trying to take communities like the ones on Bryan Road and anywhere in the world and start to think about economic future and how to generate wealth, how to build wealth communally. And so what we do here, I mean, it all really interconnects. One of the things that we've been talking about, even as far as Rwanda, is just being more inclusive with the resources to make sure everybody gets a piece of the pie, so to speak. So, I, you know, I know that we've already kind of discussed direction that we're going in today, but what a great segue to just even get this conversation kicked off because we have people that are our neighbors right now wondering how they're going to be able to meet their expenses, and we should, always make sure that we are instrument of hope for our community.
Yeah, it's amazing that you said that. Typically, we talk about what do you do and how do you build, but what happens if you've built it? What happens when you build it? I mean, I asked Dr. Jackie, I said, what would you do if you didn't have to worry about money? Do you have any guidelines? Do you have any rules? Have you thought about the day? And it could come for any of us when money is no longer an issue. So I was reading an article about lottery winners, and that's the extreme other end of the spectrum. Monday they're broke, and on Friday they're millionaires.
Right.
But did you know that between 3 and 5 years they're all broke? So let's consider the range between becoming that person and being that person, and let's see if we can come up with some things that we can look out for. And I'll start with one, and this is one I laughed at myself because I like to share. If I find a job that's paying, I call people, hey, this job is paying. But we're talking about money now. We're not talking about jobs or anything like that. But once you hit that, whatever your idea of success is, once you hit that point, what should you do? So the first thing I'd like to say is be quiet. Be quiet. That's the hardest one. Because you will find that you got more cousins than you ever knew about. You know, you might not find any extra uncles. Like that's for funerals. That's when you find out whether you got extra uncles or aunts. But be quiet. There's nothing wrong with helping people, but there's an old saying, give somebody a fish and they'll eat for a day. But if you teach them how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. And we have this conversation all the time about financial stuff. You know, you got somebody saying, can help me. And you're like, why don't you get on this class? Why don't you do this free class? Why don't you get on this webinar? No, that's not what they want. They want you to give them a fish. But the truth is, you give them a fish on Monday, and by Tuesday afternoon, they're calling for more fish. So you guys got any that you thought about? Or you want me to say another one?
Well, I was waving my hand because that first thing is don't you tell, because so I'll just piggyback on the don't tell is the thing that we also weave through everything we talk about. You don't tell, but at the same time, you plan what you're going to do, how you're going to manage that money. You know, we talk a lot at doing Fuel about managing and planning and writing it down. So it's not like, oh, I got it. And then you just, I'm not going to tell anybody, but you plan so that when it happens, and it will, that the knock comes on the door and the bombardments of your new relatives, and it's also good to see you. You have a plan. And if you have what I'll call it, a calling for philanthropy, as we were talking about with Lewis, that may be something, but put it in your plan and understand that as you give it to your relatives, you're gifting them. There's no borrowing. and so, but anyway, so don't tell, but plan.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that a little bit, Dr. Jackie, I kind of look at it as kind of like some of the advice that you hear in the sports community and the celebrity world. You know, act like you've been there, you know. You know, you can actually tell when people are not used to having maybe a financial windfall, because next thing there's so much bling and chingy ching going on. It's like, my gosh, man, you need to just chill out, you know. But I think that living modestly, especially your public persona, is always the best route. And again, for me personally, it goes into charitable things. That, you know, I dedicated my life to the mission of making sure that others that do not have the advantages that I have might have. But even with that, it's also about sitting down with family members and just talking about, you know, what is it that you really want in life? How do you plan to get there? And then to work out a strategy that will help them. Because again, you can give somebody a fish, they'll eat for a day, and the next thing they're back out there begging. But we want to make sure that people are equipped to be able to generate their own wealth, to be able to pass that knowledge to generation to generation to generation. That's really what we're here to do and what we should be about.
Oh, so here's another one on the list.
Okay.
You finally made your number. And there's this big old 10-bedroom house up the street. You've been eyeballing that house, but now you got the money. So number two, don't buy that big old house. You know, the house is just part of the deal. The other parts are taxes and upkeep, and upkeep is a big thing because you got the lawn, the driveway, the appliances. So be careful about buying that big old house. And then here's another one. Don't go buying cousin Fufu a car. You know, we always got to learn the difference between assets and liabilities. And cars are definite liabilities. So you could be putting yourself into a trick bag. I mean, look at the basketball players. The first thing they do. Now, I don't mind, no, the second thing, I'm calling the second thing. First thing, they buy mama a house, right on, good to go. The second thing they do, they buy some 45-bedroom house for their sneakers. I shouldn't have said sneakers because I know I just made somebody mad. But hey, you know, Warren Buffett, billionaire, multi-billionaire, running a multi-trillion-dollar company, lives in the same house for the last 40 years.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a nice house, but it's the same house.
Right,
There's
isn't it in Omaha, Nebraska?
Right, and it's
Yeah.
not particularly large. I mean, it's a
Right.
nice size house, but not the 10-bedroomy.
It's just it's just him and his wife. So, you know, how many rooms, you know, he's 90, so he's not gonna be chasing her around that house no time soon. So, you know, you want to shorten the distance between your kiss and your hug. All right, here's a tough one. You want to say something, Matt, before I go to another one?
No, go for it.
Don't run out. Now, this is a two-parter. Don't run out and start a business. And don't loan your money to your friends to start businesses. Now, you see this one all the time. Everybody wants a recording studio or a restaurant. And 95% of restaurants fail. And recording studios, well, I'm not going to talk about that because I have one. And I'm really mad that I got rid of it, but hey, it is what it is. So no
So,
thoughts on those two?
You know,
Okay.
I think the challenge is that people, when they get the lump, as Max said, they're not used to that lump. So it's going to be difficult to live like they've been used to it. And then you're going to have the individuals who you know are in need, but also are in want. And there is a difference between the need and the want. So for example, there may be a relative struggling in college. That need and want get to be more of a need for them to pursue. There may be another who has a perfectly good car, but now wants, and I don't know cars, but let's say a Jaguar or whatever. That's a want. So there's some discrimination in what you take on. But I was thinking about the business, and the thing that you would have to do if you went to a bank for business is have a plan, a business plan, and have specific, not, oh, you know, now that you got the money, you can help me do whatever. So you would put those kinds of requirements on individuals. They were not going to like you for it, but then it shows where they are in their plan. So when I started out with piggybacking on UPlan, if you're going to distribute, you need to put some caveats into how you do that, how they're to manage, they have a plan for what they're going to do.
You hit
Because
my list.
everybody will end up broke. So Dennis mentioned 3 to 5 years, those big lottery winners are broke. Well, those people you help are too, because you bought them a house, but they can't maintain it. You bought them a car, but they don't have the money for the insurance. You helped them start a business, but they didn't do all of the plan to know what they needed to maintain the business. So then that domino effect doesn't just hit you, it hits others. So
that's another item on the list.
oh,
Get a financial advisor. Get them now while you're broke.
Yes.
Somebody you trust.
Yes. Interesting enough, and I'm gonna actually relate this back to my nonprofit work just for a second. Starting out in the nonprofit sector as someone who had no idea in 2007 what creating a nonprofit even meant. Me and my business partner, we were just trying to do everything in and of our own power, and we're getting nowhere fast. Exactly. And interesting enough, the moment that we brought in a CPA and the moment that we brought in some legal counsel, it's amazing how everything just came together just like that. And so to Dennis's point, you've got to have somebody to guide you when you don't know what's going on. And so having that financial advisor there, the right person, is so critical in being able to really launch things to fuel your future.
Yeah.
Especially in your personal life.
Yes.
I used to do real estate, and basically I did real estate without any training, or kinda. I did take some courses. I always taking courses. I took a course and then I was like, this is crazy. I'm gonna just go buy real estate. What I did not do initially was get a CPA and a lawyer and all those people who are familiar with some of the jargon that they use in real estate. And once I finally did it, because it was expensive, and I finally said, you know what, I need help.
Yeah.
And like Max said, things turned around relatively immediately. My stress level was reduced, and you don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You just want to understand what they're talking about.
And to also piggyback on the financial advisor, Mac mentioned the CPA and Dennis as well, the tax consequence of this huge amount of money and the things that you're thinking about buying or doing with your money needs to be considered on the front side, because when April 15th or whatever date we're looking at comes along and you're like, whoa, baby, did you plan that amount? Because it's going to take from your larger trunk. And so you need to always consider and to have the advice of somebody who's staying abreast of the tax laws is critical. And anybody can put the numbers in the slots, but not really understand the impact. So on your list.
Here we go. Now you got all this money and you finally hit your star. You're like, I did it. And you look back over your financials and you got a lot of debt. Okay, wipe the debt out. The interest on the debt can actually eat away at your winnings, earnings, whatever you want to call it. So wipe out debt, pay it off, and then do the hardest thing that we're going to ask any man or woman to do. Don't get back in debt.
Yeah.
I did my financial plan for my daughter. Got her car just about paid off. She bought it this month. It was almost paid off by next month. got rid of the credit cards, and I'm patting myself on the back. And like 3 months later, she said, I don't know how my credit card got this high again. I'm like, baby, I'm a financial advisor. I'm a financial professional. How in the world did you mess up my whole plan? Because she had a different plan.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Her plan wasn't my plan, but she's listening again. So get out of debt, pay debt off, and try your darndest not to go for, what do you call them, Jack? Wants.
Once.
Just take care of your
needs.
needs. You can live a very good life just taking care of your needs.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 of our episode, I Have the Money, What Now? Join us again next time as Dr. Jackie, Mac, and Dennis complete our conversation related to this great topic. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Fueling Future Generations and reach out to us via email at fuelingfuturegenerations2020@gmail.com. Have a great day.